It became known that the Ukrainian Armed Forces may have a new target, a network of military units in Samara. These facilities serve as the command and intelligence center for the entire central military district and are the source of command and control for Russian army forces in the eastern sectors of the Ukrainian front. Agents of the Atesh guerrilla movement managed to reconnoiter the locations of 3 key units, determining the location of personnel, the zone in which military equipment was located, the locations of all command posts, and the antenna systems for radar and target detection. The partisans published photos of the locations of Military Unit 23280, the Intelligence Collection Center of the 1388th Command, and Reconnaissance Center, the main communications hub of the 91st Command Brigade, in Military Unit 59292 and the 234th Separate Radio Battalion. A series of precision strikes against military units in Samara could deprive Russian army units on Ukraine's eastern front of communications, leaving soldiers paralyzed without command, a situation the Ukrainian Armed Forces would quickly exploit. All collected information has already been transmitted to them. Earlier, Ukrainian Defense Forces hit 3 command centers of the Russian invaders with missiles. For example, the command centers of the 35th and 27th Separate Guards Motor Rifle Brigades, as well as one of the command centers of the 2nd Guards Combined Arms Army of the Russian Armed Forces, were successfully struck. The results of the strikes are being clarified. The strikes were carried out by units of the Air Force and the rocket forces and artillery of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in cooperation with other units of the Defense Forces. Recall, Kiev struck over 50 Russian strategic targets in autumn 2025. Ukraine's armed forces struck more than 50 fuel and military-industrial infrastructure sites in Russia over the course of this autumn, marking an unprecedented rate of successful attacks, according to Ukraine's General Staff and experts cited by Schemes, an investigative project by Radio Free Europe/Radio Liberty. Using satellite imagery from Planet Labs, journalists compiled an interactive map detailing the scope of Ukrainian strikes on Russian strategic facilities, including oil refineries, gas processing plants, fuel terminals, and military-industrial sites. Damage was confirmed at 13 locations. Military and economic analysts told Schemes that these attacks have already forced Russia to increase spending on facility protection and have led to fuel shortages in some regions. Located in Russia's Krasnodar Krai, the Afipsky refinery is one of the country's key oil processing facilities with an annual capacity of over 6 million tons. It produces gasoline, diesel, and aviation fuel, much of it used by the Russian military. This strike is part of Ukraine's ongoing campaign targeting Russian energy and military infrastructure deep behind the front lines. One European intelligence agency believes that Russia is preparing for large-scale sabotage in Europe. The Financial Times writes about this in its extensive review. Russian agents are reportedly actively inspecting road bridges. European experts believe this is being done with the intention of mining them. A European intelligence official also said that railways across the continent are also being actively checked for vulnerabilities. It is known that one Russian sabotage network was planning to blow up planes en route to the United States. The seized explosives were sufficient to carry out large-scale airborne terrorist attacks. Earlier, Polish prosecutors stated that the arson attacks on parcels at courier company logistics centers that occurred this summer in Poland, Germany and the UK were an attempt to sabotage flights to the US and Canada. Western specialists also prevented attempts to derail trains, set fire to shopping centers and poison water supplies. What the public knows is just the tip of the iceberg. There are many more things that governments have chosen not to talk about, said Keir Giles, an expert on Russia at Chatham House. Moscow uses a variety of methods. In particular, Russians are actively recruiting Eastern Europeans and local gangsters. Operations are managed remotely using messaging apps and cryptocurrency. Some intelligence suggests long-term planning. Although a large number of Russian spies have been expelled from Europe in recent years, Kremlin agencies have attempted to re-infiltrate European states with the help of trained professionals. Assessments of Russia's subversive actions in Europe are increasingly being viewed through the prism of NATO's 2023 Joint Threat Assessment. This is a report circulated among the alliance's defense ministers, which states that Moscow is preparing its military and economy for a possible war with Europe within a few years. According to Western experts, if the US and Europe do not respond firmly to sabotage by Russian intelligence services, there is a serious risk of further escalation. For example, there is a threat of an attack on the Baltic states. At the same time, experts believe that NATO today boasts a high level of threat awareness. Therefore, Moscow knows the alliance can respond quickly in the event of an attack from Russia. Commander Arlo Abramson, a spokesman for NATO's Joint Maritime Command, discussed his thoughts on the danger of a naval attack on the Baltic states by Russia and also commented on Russian dictator Vladimir Putin's recent statement that a Ukrainian port could become a target for Moscow following the tanker incident in Turkey. NATO is an alliance of maritime forces, and this involves a multi-dimensional approach, air and sea. The goal here is threefold. The first is constant situational awareness. This is crucial because it also gives allies the ability to respond quickly. And this could be any malicious action, be it a threat from the Russian Navy or a sabotage threat from a malicious actor we don't know about and don't currently understand. But it helps us understand the situation and respond accordingly together when necessary, he said. Abramson assured that NATO maintains a high level of vigilance and environmental awareness. He added that malign actors, including Russia, know the alliance can respond quickly. They know we're watching. That in itself creates deterrence, a NATO Allied Maritime Command spokesman emphasized.